Hey everyone, I am not sure. Let's see. There we go. Everyone, I am not. Okay, so hopefully this is now live. Thanks for anyone who is in here today. We kind of have an empty house right now. Hopefully somebody will jump in and join us. But that's kind of why I planned a couple things to talk about. If you do hop in, just tell us in the comments, say, hey, let us know you're here. If you have any questions as we go, please let me know and I will try to answer them. I still have a bit of a froggy throat. A couple weeks ago, I came down with being sick and ended up with bronchitis, but I am finally doing a lot better after going to the doctor. So we will get started. The first thing that I had on my live picture was talking about what our breeding plans are this year. So we are breeding our goats. We have a boar goat and we have a Nubian goat. Our boar goat was already bred back in December and she has had 2 babies, a little buckling and a doeling. My boys will be taking both of those to fair this this coming fair. Sorry, 1 second. But then right now our Nubian is over being bred and hopefully she'll have twins again. She's had twins a couple times now, so we're hoping she'll have twins again. And depending on if we move, we may keep any doelings that we get from her to make a larger herd. If we don't move, we'll have to sell them. The boys will show them at fair, but if they, if we don't move after fair, we'll have to sell them. Also, if you see Crystal Walker commenting on the live, that's my profile that my son Sam is on. So just so you know, that's not me commenting on my own thing, talking to myself. But anyway, so that is what we are doing with our goats this year. Again, if we're moving, that kind of changes up what we'll keep versus what we sell. With our poultry, that's more what we are getting ready to work on collecting eggs. We just got an incubator. Well, we got the incubator about a month ago, but we just got an automatic egg turner for our incubator, which we are super excited to use. It just will make it a lot easier. We've incubated eggs before without egg turners, and it is possible and doable, but it is much easier to have the egg turner. Hey, Ridge Live, thanks for stopping in. It's nice to have someone other than me and my son talking. We're just talking about the different things we're breeding this year. We're talking about our chickens right now. The main poultry that we're breeding, my second son has 2 call ducks. And so we're going to be breeding and raising some call ducks. And he's going to be selling some of those to raise money for his 4-H projects. And then my other son, my oldest, has blue Andalusian full-size birds and blue Andalusian bantams, which are pretty rare. And he's going to be breeding both the large breed and the small ones. We're kind of tempted. We have, and with our blue Andalusian bantams, a silky chicken and a Duclay chicken. And we're kind of tempted to let that blue Andalusian rooster mate with the silky. Well, he already is mating with it, but hatching the eggs from it and seeing kind of like what this silky Andalusian hybrid might look like. Whether that would turn out really weird, I don't know. But we're kind of talking about maybe hatching out one of those just to see. But we're pretty excited to be furthering on their breeding projects. It's really exciting for me to see my boys take on doing their own breeding projects as well. So that's really cool. For our mail call, I was hoping, I have a couple of different things coming in the mail. Oh, Ridge Life, we are looking to get some ducks for our pond. We don't want to breed them. It's okay to have a few drakes. So for those who don't know, drakes are male ducks. You can have like multiple male drakes together, but you want to make sure that you don't have like 1 or 2 females with lots of male drakes because they can kill the female, which can be an issue. But it really depends on the drake too. We've had some drakes in the past that are really aggressive, and we've had some, like right now we have 2 drakes. One is the father and one is the son. And normally, you know, with our past aggressive ones, the father would try to kill the son. And the father drake that we have, he has been the most mellow drake we've ever had. And so we haven't had any issues, but during like the spring when they're breeding more, that can be an issue. But if you have all drakes, it should be fine, but you may end up with an aggressive one. You just have to watch it. Also, if you haven't tried duck eggs, it may be worth getting girl ducks because duck eggs are pretty good too. So anyways, our mail call. So I never win like contests or competitions like ever. Like I've entered in like tons of drawings before, entered tons of giveaways. And so for some reason, this February has been like my winning streak. I have won 5 giveaways between maybe the end of January and this month. It's like crazy. And so I was hoping more of those would have come today. I know a couple got mailed out on Monday, but they probably didn't make it yet. But one of them came, and I am struggling to remember what the name of her channel was. I know she's in Oregon. Maybe I'll go find the link later and put it down in the description. But it's a gardening one, and she's in Oregon, and it was her first live, and I won some mammoth sunflower seeds. So that was really exciting. And her name is Cara. I just can't remember what her channel is. So I will share that in the description later. So that is that. So the next part of what we're going to be talking about is how to spot a sick chicken. And kind of what brought that up is I am working through my list, which I don't know if Ridge Life has seen it before. Let me see if I can dig and find it real quick. Well, I'm working through a list that I made. Of course I can't. Oh, it's right here next to me. I found this list, or I made a list of several different other lists of all the skills that people say you need to know to become a homesteader. And I'm working through that list, and it's like a 6-page huge list. And even as we're doing it, I keep thinking of more things that I'm like, oh, that should be on that list. But on this list, it talks about how to know when your chicken is broody or molting or if it's sick and how to deal with helping them. And so I thought I would talk about that to check another thing off my list. So I have a little slide that I'm going to pull up right here. We're going to talk a little bit about this because we have had many sick chickens in the past, not many, but several sick chickens in the past. I'm mostly going to talk about things that we have had to work with being sick. So the molting is one thing that I've seen a lot from on chicken Facebook pages that I'm on, of people will post pictures and be like, what is happening to my bird? I don't know if you can see my mouse very well in here, but right here around this chicken's neck, this is where a lot of people are like, what is growing out of my chicken's body? This looks weird. What this is these are the new feather shafts coming out after the chicken has already lost its feathers from this area. And so that is completely normal. That is just new feathers growing in. Chickens molt typically twice a year, but it just kind of depends on the chicken and kind of your seasons in your area. So this is completely normal. Here you can see some thinning, and they look really rough. They look horrible when they're molting, but your chicken is okay. You'll also find, that's why I posted this picture here, you will find tons of feathers when your chickens are molting all over your chicken yard. It will look like someone ate one of your chickens. It's just them losing their feathers. A lot of times they molt in the spring to grow out their new feathers for the summertime. Typically it's a little thinner. And then they typically will also molt in the fall or winter to put out new feathers to keep them warmer. So very common. Molting does not mean your chicken is sick. I have heard that if you increase the protein intake for your chickens, that it will help them get through the molting faster and just kind of help them get through that a little bit quicker. Okay, so the next one is a broody chicken. And a broody chicken, you may come in your coop and find your chicken puffed up in a corner, and they may try to eat your hand or squawk at you when you try to come collect eggs. Your chicken is not sick. Your chicken is just broody. it is working on, it wants to hatch eggs. And that's great if you want to hatch eggs. Like we mentioned at the beginning, we are working on our breeding programs, and I'd love some chickens to hatch out eggs for us, as well as us doing them in the incubator. It's kind of a pain though if you are not wanting a broody hen, because when hens go broody, they are not laying eggs. And so some ways that I've heard of getting them to stop is putting them in what people call chicken jail. Hey, Bits of Me, thank you for stopping in. We're just talking about how to tell if your chicken is sick or if you just have a chicken who's being molting or broody. So anyways, ways to get them out of broody if you are not trying to hatch eggs. I was putting them in chicken jail. That can be like in a carrier or some kind of cage where they don't have like nesting material to lay on. Also, I've heard of people putting like standing them in cool water. We have enough chickens that it hasn't been an issue. We just continue to collect the eggs and eventually they'll get out of the broody mindset. But for some people who only have a few chickens, that can be an issue. Mites and lice. Now these pictures are pretty extreme. We have found, we have gotten lice on our chickens before, and it looked nothing like these. I actually didn't see any outward signs of it, but we were just dusting them just because we do that every once in a while. We dust them with mite treatment, and we saw mites or lice leaving off of the chicken after we treated it. So we went ahead and treated all of our coop and our whole chickens. A lot of things that will bring in mites and lice to your chickens are wild birds. If you get new poultry from somewhere else, they may be carrying those mice or lice. But also another one that I recently learned about was that straw and hay, it can have the mites and lice in it depending on where it's coming from. Or it also, if a wild bird brings it in, the mites and lice can live in that bedding. And so you may have a clean coop and a clean flock, but then over winter, they may develop it due to animals coming in and then having that bedding. So down here on this picture, this is lice built up around the base of the feathers. Again, I've never seen that on one of our chickens before, but that's a pretty deep infestation. I know I've also seen other pictures where the feathers start like they break up the feathers here. And so you'll see the feathers thinning. On this chicken right here, there's a different group of mites that live on the chicken's face. I've never had that on our chickens, but I know there's different dusts that you can use, or some people will put Vaseline as well on the comb, the wattle, and around, not in the eye. You don't want to get in the eye, but around the eye, and that will kind of smother out the mites that are there. This is a pretty bad infestation. And then up here is scaly leg mites. We have had poultry with that. When we very first started chickens, we got some chickens that I think they were 4 years old. They were kind of on the end of their laying season. And we got them from a family that was moving out of town, and they came with scaly leg mites. And so it took a lot of treatments, but we were able to remove that, and it didn't spread to any of our other chickens. So that's another great one. Thank you guys. We are very passionate about chickens. I'm actually the poultry leader for our local 4-H group. So I figured I would share this with you guys, and then this is something I can share with my group as well. Hey, 5M Family Farm and Outdoors. Thanks for joining us. So to treat scaly leg mites, you want to soak their feet in an Epsom salt bath, which it's kind of, every time I think of soaking a chicken foot, that sounds crazy, but they will most of the time stand there if you kind of stand there and hold them for a bit. Then you also, some people will put mineral oil on it, and then you can coat the feet with Vaseline, and that will smother the mites. But you have to do that for at least a week every night. Typically, I would go 2 weeks or until it starts to clear up. The biggest way to know if they have scaly leg mites is if you look right here in these scales, they're lifted up, and that lift is the mites underneath the scales. So that's your first sign of scaly leg mites. Yes, and Serenity Meadow Permaculture, thanks for joining us. It says, can adding DE to their dirt baths help? I have heard that does help. We also will take our fireplace ashes and spread that in the coop, and the ash will kill mites and lice as well as it they'll dust bath in that, and then that will help protect on their body too. But we do use the diatomaceous earth as well. We stick with those two most of the time, but every once in a while, well, mostly before we go to county fair, about a week or two before that, we will use a chemical dusting powder. I don't love using that a lot, but it's required by our fair that you use that beforehand. Okay, so the next one I was going to talk about is heat stress and dehydration. This is something this has been actually the most illness that we have seen in our chickens. Chickens can handle cold typically a lot better than they can handle heat. Your biggest sign for knowing if your chicken is struggling with this is if they're just really limp, kind of laying, not just laying there, but really like if you're out with your birds, you can kind of tell when they're not acting right. But laying, panting, holding their wings out is a very good sign that they're hot. Not wanting to eat is another big one. We have found to help with that, we have trees in our run, and that tends to be really nice for them. We keep our coop open so that if they need to go in, they can get out from the sun. And then we have windows on both sides of our coop that allow a cross breeze, and that helps keep it cool. It's pretty windy out here all the time, even during the summer. So having that cross breeze helps a lot. When we've had a chicken with extreme heat stress and dehydration, we bring them inside where it's cooler. You don't want to take them to super cold temperatures because that can cause shock. But you want to bring them in where it's cooler. And then we typically, if they're bad enough that they won't drink, which that's typically when you notice because chickens hide illnesses a lot, is we will take a syringe and we will make a homemade saline solution, or not saline solution, like a Gatorade type solution. Or we try to keep on hand poultry electrolytes, and we will syringe that into their beak just a little bit at a time and come back and frequently do that. Most cases that we've had of chicken dehydration or heat stress, they have recovered with help. It's been one that we've been able to take care of. So the next one, this is something we are currently struggling with, and that is frostbite. Again, chickens are really hardy in the cold, but we get temperatures regularly in the negatives out where we live at night and during the day, during part of the winter. And frostbite can be an issue. We have had less issues with frostbite in our hens, but for some reason, our roosters have been very, very prone to getting frostbite. And as you can see in these pictures, they'll get frostbite in their combs and they'll get frostbite in their wattles. And one thing I recently read as I've been kind of researching about it is we have ducks. So we have a big open water container, and the chickens will drink and their water or their wattles will get into that water and then freeze. And so we need to figure out a way that we can prevent that in our rooster. But we currently have a rooster in our basement who has gotten severe frostbite in his feet. We're trying to help him kind of work through that. I don't know how his quality of life after that. We've just got to give him time to recover. Ways that I've read to prevent it, some ways that we tried, where you can put Vaseline on the comb and the feet when it's cold. The problem is they try to rub it off pretty quickly. And so I haven't found that to be super effective for us. I think the biggest thing we need to change is our coop. We're currently using an old shed that we have turned into a coop, and it doesn't have the best insulation. Hey, Along the River Homestead, thanks for coming in. Sorry, the lag time on my comments is really slow. So if you commented a long time ago, I'm not seeing it for a while. But anyway, so with our coop, it also holds a lot of the moisture, and I think we need better ventilation in our coop. And a big contributing factor to frostbite on the chickens is the moisture building up in the coop and then collecting on their combs and their feet. So if you can try to have really good ventilation but still keep the breeze out, that's a really big thing with that. So bumblefoot is another illness that we've seen we've actually only seen bumblefoot in our ducks. We haven't gotten it. Oh no, I think one time we had it in a chicken. And so bumblefoot is where they get some kind of cut or some kind of injury to their feet. And then I think it's staph infection in their feet. And it ends up, if you can see on this duck one's a little bit easier to see, it develops, they don't form an infection like people do. It just kind of packs with this weird infection. And with our chicken, we caught it pretty early, and you just soak it in an Epsom salt bath and it will eventually clean itself out. Yep. And then what I was going to say is what 5M family said is you have to cut out the bumblefoot if it gets so bad that the Epsom salt bath doesn't work. And I've heard it's pretty nasty, and it is staph, so it's contagious to you as a person. So you want to make sure you have protection so that you don't get it. Okay, so then some other illnesses that I'm not going to go into depth with because we haven't had to deal with them yet. And so I don't know a whole lot. Well, we've done a little bit with worms and intestinal parasites. But with worms and intestinal parasites, we use apple cider vinegar and water. Typically, we just use that every couple weeks. We add a little bit to their water. And not that we haven't had any issues where we can have seen that we've had worms or intestinal parasites, but we've done things to prevent it. So the apple cider vinegar is one. You can add the diatomaceous earth to their food, and that will also help get rid of those intestinal parasites. And then we also have used Molly's Herbals. We use that for our goats, but we've also just recently started using that on our chickens to help with that as well. So 5M family says it was nasty. It popped like a giant pimple. That's what I've heard about the bumblefoot. And it's the pictures I've seen are so gross. And when you're scrolling on Facebook and it's like dinner time and one of those pops up, you just want to throw up. It's nasty. Okay, so Along the River says her girls get the apple cider vinegar in their water daily and the DE. Yep. So those are great things to use. Another thing you can also use are probiotics. We have had, when I see some chickens getting a little bit, I can tell they're not doing good, I will do either some probiotics in their water, or you can give chickens a little bit of dairy product. You don't want to give them a lot, but yogurt, like the good yogurt, not the sugary, nasty yogurt, but good yogurt with probiotics can be good to help your chickens get through some stuff. We also, when we are milking our goats, if we have extra or the whey, we will give that to our chickens. We'll soak grains in it. And that's just another way to kind of get some good bacteria in them. Hey, KBL, Hey, KBL, Texas Homestead. Thanks for coming in. Serenity Meadow Permaculture. I have raised show goats in the past. I've never had any trouble out of my poultry to need this information before. Oh, yeah. Well, and we haven't had a lot of the issues with our poultry. These are just things that over the last 6 years we've seen every once in a while. But this page right here, the other illnesses, we've never really struggled with these. So fowl pox is one I've heard a lot about. I've never seen anyone in our areas whose birds have had fowl pox, but that's what this picture is right here. That's fowl pox, what it looks like. Again, I've never seen it. Avian flu, we've never had any cases out by us. When we go to state fair, they always test you have the option to have your birds tested for avian flu, and we've had ours tested every year and we've never had it. So, and then there's other illnesses, and that's pretty much all the sicknesses that I had to share with you. So, sounds like we've got some great people in here. Hey, the Mindful Homestead, wild turkeys here. Okay, so they turned up with fowl pox. Yeah, I don't know what you do to deal with fowl pox. That would be one that we'd have to look into more. So that was basically what we had for seeing illnesses in chickens. I guess other things with just watching your chickens is the biggest thing to catch an illness, is to know what they're struggling with. I guess one that I left off that we did just recently experience was we had a chicken that was egg bound, and we caught her kind of late. It was when I was sick, and so I wasn't out there as much to see, but she was egg bound. We tried doing the Epsom salt baths and it didn't help. And she perked up a little bit, so we were going to give her a little more time, and she ended up passing away on her own. So that was kind of a hard one too. It was our first experience dealing with an egg bound chicken. But does anyone have any chicken, duck, or turkey questions, because that's kind of a lot of what we've been talking about. Oh, hey, 4 kids and a farm. Thanks for stopping in. Since a lot of you guys are just now, yeah, egg-bound chickens are sad. Oh, water belly. We haven't had to deal with that one before. So along the river homestead, or Chrissy, what were you able to do for the what did you say? Water belly chicken. Were you able to save it, or did it end up passing? Thanks for coming in, Sweet Serenity Meadow Permaculture. Have a great day too. So, since most of you came in after I talked about it, we'll go back and talk about what our breeding is that we're doing this year. So we already bred our boar goat, and she already had her babies, and she had a little buckling and a little doeling, and those two, my kiddos, will be showing and auctioning at county fair this year. And then our Nubian goat is out being bred right now. We have a friend who does our breeding, and so we're hoping she'll have twins again. She's had twins the last couple of years. I know triplets are in her genetics, but it seems like she's been having twins pretty consistently. So that would be my hope. If we move, we're hoping to keep any doelings she has to build our herd. But if we end up not moving, we'll have to sell both those babies after county fair. Chrissy said, oh, nothing, you had to put her down. She got worse, couldn't walk. Yeah. And see, that's the hard thing, is when you have to make that call of, is my chicken suffering? So I better just put her down. Like, if you can't do anything to help them, I totally get that. And it's always hard when you have to make that decision. So our breeding with our poultry right now, one of my boys has 2 call ducks, and those are like the Bantam mini versions of ducks, which are so cute. We absolutely love them. Their name are Jack and Lily. And we're going to be breeding those, and my son will be selling the babies of the ones that we don't keep to kind of fundraise money for his 4-H projects with those ones. Okay, let's see. We've been curious. Are turkeys really that much harder to raise than chickens? Great success with meat birds. So we did meat turkeys not last year, but the year before. And we actually really liked having the turkeys because they ended up almost like dogs. They would kind of follow us around. We would let our chickens, we let our chickens out in the summer to just graze our yard. They're typically in a run. And when we let the turkeys out, if you stayed out there, they would just come sit and hang around you, and they wanted to be petted, and they were cute. The big thing that we kind of made the mistake with is we paid for the most expensive food that you could buy them. And turkeys eat a ton. They eat a ton of food. And our turkeys were not very good at foraging for themselves too. And we also had our turkeys in with our chickens. And so they would eat all the food. And the chickens, we'd constantly be feeding because the chickens weren't getting enough food. But in the future, I would change that. Is right now we feed a lot of our poultry spent brewer grains that we get for free from breweries, which I have videos about that. If you haven't seen those before, those would be a good thing to check out. But since we get that food for free, if we ever do turkeys again, feeding them wouldn't be as big of an issue because we would have those grains for free, and I'd be able to feed them as much as they want. But I would, if we do turkeys ever again, I will separate them from our hens. Yes, Sam, you can bring Paisley up. So we liked raising meat turkeys. They were good. They tasted good. But again, if you buy the most expensive feed, it's not really cost effective. I think we ended up, when we tallied up how much we spent, which we also were only raising 3 turkeys. And so they ended up being several $100s worth of feed put into these turkeys. And that's really expensive turkeys. But they were good, and we liked them. They weren't horrible. They do have giant poop, and they poop everywhere like a chicken does. So, hey, Blooming in Place. Thanks for stopping in. So, I didn't finish talking about what our breeding plans are. Oh, we got a sad girl. Come here. We're going to have a little sad one join us for a minute. So our rest of our breeding plans for our poultry is my oldest son, the one who just brought Paisley up to me. He has full-size blue Andalusian poultry that he takes for fair. And then he also got some bantam blue Andalusian poultry. And so he is doing a breeding program with the full size and with the bantams. And that's something we're kind of excited about. And then our bantam blue Andalusians are in with our other little bantam birds. And we have a silky in there and what's called a Duclay. It's got kind of like a little beard mustache thing on its ears on the side. And then it has feathered feet. And so we're kind of curious. We want to see what their chicks will look like, having a blue Andalusian rooster and a silky and a blue Andalusian rooster with a Duclay. So we may hatch out a couple of those just for fun. They won't be like breed quality because we're mixing a breed, but we thought that might be kind of fun to look at. But that's pretty much it for our breeding. You go say hi.
Hi.
Hi. Is this silly? Do you see yourself? What other things? Oh, we also have our Cayuga chickens, but we're not, or Cayuga ducks, which those are the black ducks that lay black to gray colored eggs. They're really fun. I don't know if we're going to breed them again this year. We did last year, and we haven't had a great hatching rate out of them. So are any of you doing any kind of breeding programs with either poultry or other livestock that you have? I know a lot of people have livestock being born right now. What you can tell them? You don't know? You don't want to tell them? So, since most of you weren't in here when I did my mail count, I'll do that one again too. I just repeat myself for you guys. So, you want to show them the card we got? Show them this. So I never win like giveaways or any kind of like contests and things. Like I've entered raffles and things. I never win, which is fine. You know, it's fun to just enter and support people. But like the end of January till now, I've won 5 giveaways on YouTube. Like I can't even believe it. And so this was one of them that along the river, you were at this one and I can't remember the name of her channel, but she was the lady, her name's Cara and she's in Oregon and she was talking about gardens and seeds. And so I'm going to put her channel in the description because I feel horrible that I can't remember it right now. But I won some mammoth sunflower seeds from her. So that was kind of exciting mail that came. You want to show them the card again? Got a nice pretty card with it, huh? Homesteading in Idaho. You've got mini La Mancha dairy goats. Yep. Oh, awesome. So you'll be having those. Yeah. And see, our Nubian is a registered Nubian dairy, and she will be having hers kind of the end of spring. We were thrown off a little bit when normally we breed our 2 does together, but this year with stuff with our 4-H barn, we had to hold off. And so, oh, perfect. Cara Grandle Gardens. That is the one that we got the seeds from. Thank you, Along the River Homestead. I felt horrible that I could not remember it. But yes, so I got those sunflower seeds in it. Yeah, that was really exciting. And I'm excited to plant those because sunflower seeds are one of my favorite things to grow. And we have seeds saved from, we've been doing red and like it's like a red burgundy mix of sunflowers. And we really love those. Hey, Ryan Earl's Bees. Thank you so much for coming in and stopping in and saying hi. I don't even know how long we've been going for. Oh, about half an hour. Okay. Yes, I love sunflowers. Yeah, and sunflowers are like, so we're deserty, cold, windy all year round and really dry during the summer. And sunflowers are the one things that we get really good. Are you talking? Yeah, I feel bad because I tried to like come up with a bunch of things to talk about so I wouldn't have a bunch of like empty time and hoped to try to go for about an hour. And I've already talked through everything. Huh. I guess we can talk about some new videos that I have coming up. I'm going to, in the near future, I'm not quite sure when yet, probably in the next couple of weeks, doing a video on how I make my mineral makeup that I wear. That's part of my big giant list of all the skills a homesteader needs to know that I'm working on. One of the skills is how to make your own beauty products. And last year I made, for the first time, my own mineral makeup, and I'm finally running out. And so I thought that would be the perfect time to record a little video of me of how I make my mineral makeup. Natural wild sunflowers. Oh, that's awesome. See, I would love that. Are you showing them your feet? There's my feet. You're showing off, huh? Oh, you've got no pants on either. You diaper girl?
It's gone.
Oh, so Blooming in Place was asking about covering sunflowers or sharing them. We plant so many that there's enough that, like, we don't get a lot of squirrels here in Wyoming. I've seen a couple since living out here, but we do get a ton of wild birds, and we don't cover ours, but there's typically enough, if I plant enough, that they'll eat a little bit, but then I can harvest the rest. We don't grow the big ones that we eat, but we grow and save them to grow into microgreens, or we'll sprout them and feed them to our chickens, and then we obviously save some to grow for the next year. Yeah. Do you like the flowers when we go to flowers? Yeah.
Glasses.
Oh, glasses? Are you silly?
I got.
So, yeah, we're kind of the same. Homesteading in Idaho. Grow enough and you can share.
Mom.
Oh, we're not going to take a bath right now. No.
Hmm?
So this little 2-year-old, she always wants to take a bath. Like always. She still wants to live in the water. And she's actually taken one today. And she wants to go again, huh? Are you silly? You still have some standing? Oh, I wish. All of ours, everything's dead right now. Though today is a warm day because it's 39 degrees today. That's a warm day for us. And so a lot of the snow's melting, and we're planning to go play at the park today. We're not taking a bath right now.
Yeah.
And then
Mama.
we're actually going to be going to Utah in the near future, and it's supposed to be in the 50s, and I can't even imagine being back in the 50s. Hey, stop kicking. It'll be too noisy. It'll be too noisy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to go down and get the boys?
No, I want baby, not baby shark.
Oh, you don't want to watch Baby Shark anymore?
Nah, I want to take a bath. Mom.
We're not taking a bath right now. You have to wait till we're done.
No, you're not.
You're
not done. I'm gonna take a
okay.
bath.
See, maybe I'll have to try that.
Take
So
a bath.
they're talking both along the river
Yes, Mom.
and Homestead
We
in
have-
Idaho talked
We
about.
have sparkly.
Hey, you do have sparklies on you. About just tossing the seeds out. See, we have always planted ours.
Mom,
and, like, purposely planted it.
it.
Not right now. Maybe we'll see if Sam will come up and give you a bath. Go call Big Brother, see if he'll come up. But I like the idea of just kind of tossing them out there and maybe raking them in. I don't know. Do you just toss the seeds, or do you rake them in or cover them? Eight feeders in the front. See, we had a bird feeder in our backyard, and it was right by our deck, and we ended up with bird poop all over our entire deck. So we stopped filling that bird feeder. So maybe we need to fill up some away from the deck to keep them further from our deck. Are you going to give her a bath?
Yeah.
Okay. Just make sure she's dressed if she comes out. Big Brother's helping. Oh, you purposely plant some, but then you just toss them out. Okay. Perfect. Oh, one thing I was going to tell you guys. So we have had goats for 2 years now. Last year we raised them and just sold them at county fair, except for our dairy goat. Well, our breeding doe and our dairy goat we didn't sell, but we have loved the goat milk. It took some time getting used to it, but we do really like the goat milk. But we've kind of, as we've been talking about buying our own property, we've wondered, well, we've never tried goat meat. Is raising meat goats something that we should do if we don't know if we even like it? So a friend of ours who ended up buying one of my kiddos' goats at county fair gave us some goat meat. And my husband smoked goat meat for us, and everyone loved it except for one of my kiddos, but he doesn't like any kind of meat. So I don't count him because he wouldn't like meat anyways. But tonight we are making goat curry. And I love curry, but I've never tried goat curry. So I'm kind of excited. That's something we're going to try. But we liked our first one. And so we've got this goat curry we're going to try. And then I think we have like a goat shoulder or something left. There's one more package of goat meat left down in the freezer. So it's our new experiment. But so far, if it continues like our first one, we definitely like goat meat. And so we'll continue our meat goats. Homestead in Idaho goat meat is good. Yeah. See when we tried it, it was definitely a little different, but it was really good. Jamaican curried goat and oxtail soup. See, I haven't had oxtail soup. That's what I'll have to try eventually. So it says, she says smoked, curried, stir fried, roasted, grilled, burger, etc. All sounds great. Let's see. No, I'm not done. Do you want to come say hi? I've got another one that wants to say hi.
No.
And you might be wondering why I've got all my kids home. It's because my biological children, we homeschool them all. So they were all playing nicely till sister came up. Huh. Ooh, goat jerky. I'll have to definitely try that, and sausage. That does sound really good. Chrissy, where are you located again? You've got bears? You have to worry about bears? We get moose and deer, and I think I've heard of cougar sightings in town, but we haven't had bears in town. I don't even know if there's really very many bears out here. I'm sure there is somewhere. Get a lot of coyotes. Burger with sausage makes a tasty meatloaf. That does sound really good. My kids love meatloaf. Do you like meatloaf?
Mm-hmm.
Did you like it when we had the goat meat?
Yeah.
Upstate New York and you have bears? That's crazy. I wouldn't think of bears in your... I guess, yeah. Bears are everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, you go play. Say bye.
Bye. And one of my teeth are wiggly.
Yes, he's got his first wiggly tooth. He's very excited about it. He is. So that's Thatcher. He's my youngest biological son. And he was my baby that got teeth super late. All my other kids got teeth by like 3-4 months old. He did not get teeth till he was, I want to say 14 months old, 14, 15 months old. It was after a year. Let me go see why she's crying. And I'd heard from people that when they get their teeth late, that it takes longer for their kids' teeth to fall out. I don't know if anyone's heard that before, but he's now 6, almost 7, and he still hasn't lost any teeth. And he finally has his first wiggly tooth, which he is so excited about because all of his siblings are losing tons of teeth and he has not had a turn yet. Go play. Go play. Go play. Yeah, so he's excited. He's hoping they aren't that wiggly yet, but in his head he thinks they're coming out any day. But I'm thinking he still has a couple weeks left. But you never know. So that was Homesteading in Idaho told us about her goats, right? That you're breeding. Does anyone have any poultry they're breeding this year? Who in here all has poultry? I'm kind of curious about that. I know most of you probably do. Oh, the Mindful Homestead. I don't know when I missed you coming in, but thank you for coming in. I just saw that. Just barnyard poultry.
Go back downstairs.
Is she got toys in? No, because, okay, go. Yes, yes, go, go, go. That's the hard thing with, I like doing the live during, raise his hand, we have poultry, Mindful Homestead, which I think I've watched a couple of your videos of your poultry. Quail. Yeah, I've wanted to try quail, but we just haven't done it yet. Because I don't know, part of me is like, well, I already got chickens. So what's the upside of having quail along with chickens? I don't know. Egg chickens, bits of me. Yeah, so we've got to like layer chickens. My oldest wants to get back into raising turkeys, and he wants fancy ducks. Yep, see, this is our first year with having fancy ducks. We've had ducks for meat, and we've had ducks for eggs. But when my second son, it's his first year getting to do 4-H, and he wanted to do, for his poultry showmanship, he wanted to show a duck. And so that's why we got those little call ducks so that they're smaller. Can you go shut that door? I'm just staying with her. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear the bathtub. She's splashing like crazy in there. Yeah, so the fancy ducks, I'm curious to see how big their eggs are, but I've heard they don't lay even as long as the other ones. Okay, so quail, they grow quickly, 4 to 6. I'm guessing, 4 to 6 of them feeds your family of 4. So then when you cook them, because quail are tiny, and I know like with a chicken, you pluck them all and like I roast like a whole chicken for my family. With the quail, do you pluck the quail or do you skin the quail? And then do you just like cook them all together? I don't know. We also have a desire for quail meat in our area. Okay, so you skin them. Because I'm like, we've skinned ducks before and helped other people skin chickens, and I found that's a lot easier than plucking. The last year when we did our meat chickens, we did borrow a friend's plucker, which helped a lot. So that makes sense that they grow fast and it doesn't take too many to feed your family. Do they lay pretty consistently? Like, are they able, and do they hatch out their own babies? Do they do that well, or do you have to incubate them? Hey, High Plains, thanks for coming in. You're totally fine for coming in when you come in. Skin, cook in a skillet or a pot. Absolutely despise plucking. And plucking ducks are the worst because of all those down feathers. Like, I hate plucking ducks. They are my least favorite. That's why we have switched to skinning our ducks, which you lose a little bit of like the fat and the moisture when you skin them when it comes time to cooking them. But to me, not having to pluck the duck is so much nicer to just skin them. Yeah. So High Plains, I was asking, do you guys have poultry, chickens, ducks, turkeys, quail, anything like that? Okay, so they're very consistent with egg laying, terrible mother instincts. Okay. Okay, so you have chickens chickens will hatch them out, because we've done that with our ducks in the past, because I want to say it was when we had our khaki Campbell ducks. They're like a brown duck, and our mother duck would not hatch out her own eggs. She just kept leaving the nest. So we ended up having a chicken hatch out a bunch of ducklings for us, and that worked out really well. Okay, so you've got 10 chickens. Awesome. No loss of fat or moisture with skinning. Okay. Cover the skillet. Maybe we'll have to try it. I think they're cute. That's more why I want to get them. But I would obviously get them for eggs and using them. Okay, so you've got egg chickens. Yeah, see, and we've got our flock, we've got our egg layers, and then we have our show chickens, which also produce eggs for us as well, but they're a bit more pampered because the kids use them for county and state fair. And then we've got, last year we did meat birds, and if you saw my smoking chicken video that I just put out this week, that was our last meat chicken that we raised last year. So this year I'm trying to talk my husband into doing quite a bit more. We'll see how successful I'm on it. We did only I want to say it was 12 or 14 meat chickens last year. And this year I would love to do 40 or 50. He's talking more like 20. So we'll see. I always kind of go bigger, but I don't know. Banty hens are amazing for hatching out quail eggs, which we've got a bunch of bantam chickens right now. That would be a good idea. Okay. It's about the size of a woman's softball. So you'll be doing what homesteading in Idaho. Do you do like the Cornish cross for your I cannot even talk today. Cornish cross for your meat birds, or do you do a different breed? Because I know a lot of people will do the Red Rangers or other things like that. Goal is raise at least one meat chicken to have per week for the freezer. See, I would love something like that. And for the most part, if we use our meat chicken as like a shredded chicken with a meal, one will supply our family of 10 because it's mixed with like veggies and grains and all that. But if we're like eating the chicken as like a main portion of the meal, it doesn't go as far. So we've been trying to stick a lot more with doing like casserole type dishes, or like cooking the chicken in the slow cooker, or roasting it and then shredding it on top of meals. And that definitely makes it go a lot further for us. Oh no, you're just fine along the river, Homestead. Thanks for coming back. I totally don't mind people who just hang out and let it play, because it totally helps too. Yeah. So yeah, you prefer the Cornish cross. So yeah, we have never tried the Red Rangers. Oh, naked neck Turkins are good. They're slow and growing. Okay. But do they get pretty big then, the Turkins? Because I've seen people raise those before, but I didn't realize that they were pretty good for meat ones. We did the Cornish crossed ones, and we were not great about giving them a constant supply of feed. And so they got to a good size, but they got there slower. But they were still really good. Oh, the Red Rangers have a weird taste. I wonder if it's more of a gamey taste because they grow over. I don't know. Turkins are twice this. Wow, really? I did not know they got that big. We might have to try that this year. So then I'm assuming they eat a lot if they get that big. I wonder if they're pretty good foragers though. Okay, thanks for coming in, Blooming Place. Have a good time at work. Hopefully it's a good job where you enjoy it. I think almost turkey size. It's like a teenage turkey size. That's awesome. Well, and our turkeys, when we raised, I can't remember who was asking earlier about raising turkeys. When we raised turkeys before, they got huge. We did the broad-breasted ones, which are kind of like the Cornish cross of the turkey world, is the broad-breasted. And when we did those, I think my son's biggest turkey was like 30-something pounds. It was a ginormous turkey. We had to like do where you cock it, I think is what you call it, where you cut it and so that the breastbone comes off the back. And we had to cook it completely separate in 2 separate pans because that turkey was so big. And then the 2 hens that he raised were still like 28 pounds each. So they got ginormous. They were huge. 1/4 cup of dry feed per turkin. 1/6 cup feed soaked per turkin. Okay, excellent forager. See, that's what we need, like is, pound, not cup. We really like ones that will forage because we will let ours out of their run to go forage quite a bit when we can. We'd love to have free range chickens, but we're in the city. Well, a city as Wyoming gets. We're in a town, small town, but we've got dogs on each side of our fence with different neighbors. And so I worry about letting them free range too much if we're not there. I just worry. We've had chickens fly over the fence and get eaten. Turkeys easily reach 20 pounds dressed out if you let them. Yeah. See that, and that would be a better size than what those giant turkeys got to. And they ate like crazy. Those turkeys never stopped eating. So we're really gonna have to try a turkin. They look crazy. They look kind of cool, and a kid last year, I think, had one of those at county fair, and the judge really liked it. We're definitely a fair family, which is weird because I never did 4-H as a kid, and I never did like county fairs and state fairs or things like that as a kid. But my kids love it. And we got into it because we homeschool, and I wanted a way for the kids to like go out and interact with other kids, but also learn skills and learn things. So not just like going out and doing a sport that they would never do again, which I'm not against sports, and my kids can do sports if they want to. But anyways, 4-H was more a learning plus with other kids. And so we got into 4-H, and then my kids really loved it. And so we've become a county fair family, a showing family, which is so weird to me because I would have never thought we would do something like that. They are kind of ugly, but they're kind of cool looking too. You never said you would own any. Same with, see, I don't like La Mancha. La Mancha goats aren't horrible, but they look so weird. They look so weird with no ears. It's crazy to me. But you love them. So you have them and you like them. And I probably, if I had them, I'd probably learn to love them. But whenever I see them, I'm just like, that's so, I love the floppy ears of the Nubian and our boar goats. Those big floppy velvety ears that you can pet. Yeah. Oh, you're good. Thanks for coming in along the river, Homestead. Chrissy, thank you so much for coming in. They are sweet. Okay, so they're sweet goats. See, and our boar goat is sweet, but she is so obsessed with food that she'll mow you down if she thinks she can get to food. She's a sweet goat when she has food. And then our Nubian goat is like mean as can be. And part of me kind of is ready to part ways with our Nubian goat because she's so mean. But my kids are so attached to her that they do not want to get rid of her. And that's my hard thing with having kids and animals is we try to keep the thing of that we have our animals to eat, but they can be our pets too. But they have to know that and understand that, you know, we may not always keep them, but it's hard with these goats. My kids got them specifically for 4-H and not so much mom getting them. It was really them. Our boar goat, my son actually saved up all the money for that goat. And so it's completely his. And with our Nubian goat, we split the cost with one of our other sons and made the deal that it was his goat, but we would get all the milk from it for our family since we helped split the cost. And that Nubian goat is so mean and so nasty. But she's like good to the kids and she's good for us, but she's mean to the other goats and she attacks the other baby goats and like just gets really mean and nasty and aggressive towards other goats. And I'm just like ready to let her move to either a new home or, you know, she's getting to the point where we almost can't keep breeding her. I don't know at what point you cut them off. She's going to be 5 this year. But the thing that I'm worried about is when she has her babies, her udder is so huge. She has this huge udder and she does great at county fair. I should say that too, is she always wins because she has a great udder and great breeding and looks wonderful. She looks amazing. She's just a total jerk. But when she has her babies, her udder is so big that her teats touch the ground. And I'm like, well, how do I keep this goat? Like eventually I've got to stop breeding her, right? Because her udder is so ginormous. How is she going to keep walking? Like eventually she lessens up and we'll milk her out and it helps. And like this year, if her udder is so big, we'll probably have to bottle feed the babies because last year the babies could barely get to the teats to drink. So I don't know. I don't know at what point you say you stop breeding a goat because she's having healthy babies, but I don't know. Okay, catching up on comments. Also teach your kids that, that animals can be that, you know, they can be pets. We can love on them, but definitely food too. If the goat doesn't have a purpose, dairy, meat, or show, they're sold as a pet or go to freezer camp. Yeah, and that's completely ours. Go away. Sorry, I've got kids wanting to come talk to me. And see, all of ours do really good at show, but I feel like is show really enough of an excuse to keep an animal? Though she does still milk really well, and we do enjoy her milk. She's also mean as can be. So I think that's my big thing is she's just so dang mean that's why I'd be tempted to keep one of her daughters if it had a better temperament and let her go. I don't know. We haven't made any decisions. You had to sell her cool, aggressive goats like that. Yeah. See, and that's hard but she does also do so good at county fair and all the judges sing her praises of how good she looks. We have not taken goats to state fair yet because you have to be there all week. And our state fair is so far away that we typically just go for poultry show because that's my oldest. His passion really is the poultry. He likes doing the goats, but poultry is his passion. And for poultry, you just have to go for the day. You don't have to stay all week. And with 8 kids, it's hard to go for a whole week. You have a 9-year-old that will kid this year. Attachments are probably bad. But see, everyone tells me her udder attachments are really good and they look good up at the top. It's just her bag fills up. Like, I could not believe how much milk she had when she first had her babies. And then she'll eventually go down to giving me, I want to say like 1.5 quarts to 2 quarts each milking. So that's about 1 gallon a day. She'll go down to 1 gallon a day. But when she first has her babies, she has a ton of milk. Like we've never, because I always let the babies have the colostrum, I've never milked her out at the beginning, but it's got to be close to almost 2 gallons. Like, it's crazy how much she produces. When your goat gets old and actually look and feel and act old, then it's time to retire. We have 2 that are 10 and retiring here. Okay, well, show goat's worth keeping. See, and we only do county. So homesteading in Idaho, do you do other shows? Like, do you go to like actual other goat shows? See, we just do county fair, and then they do a jackpot here before our county fair, and we do that as like a practice, but we don't go out to like the big shows because there's not really any around us. And I guess we're just not to the point where we're willing to invest traveling somewhere to go do that. So I like that. You go and live there. Yeah, your fairs, you go and live for a week. And see, our county fair is in the next town over. So we take a camper over and we camp the week and stay out there. We're trying though to move, and where we want to move is right down the street from our county fair. So then we would just drive over. Hey, Forkin Allotment, thanks for coming in. So we showed American Dairy Goat shows and Miniature Dairy Goat Association and many. Okay, so you do see, and you go out to those, and that makes it worth it. And we've talked about going to shows like that, and maybe someday we will. I'm just still so new to like the whole 4-H and doing shows and understanding how all this works. Like, this year will be our first time breeding our registered Nubian to a registered Nubian buck. And so I've got to figure out, I don't even know how to register her babies. And so I think part of it is I'm just so new to it that I don't know how to do a lot of this stuff. Yeah, fairs are a town over. See, and our state fair is clear across the state from us. And so I want to say it's an 8 or 9 hour drive to get there. And it's a big enough pain to take poultry that I'm like, I don't know if I ever want to take goats. Yeah, some are in our states. Most are out of state. Okay. For sure. The other one is. Perfect. Okay. Well, does anyone have, we kind of switched from, we were talking all about poultry and now we're talking all about goats. Anyone else have pigs, 4-H and FFA? That is awesome. So Lazy C Homestead, I don't know if I've seen that you're in here so far. So thanks for joining us. We have talked about pigs and we almost did it this year. But then when we decided to list our house, we were just like, we can't take on a new thing. But I really want to try pigs, but I don't know. I'm nervous about it. We were nervous about goats and we've done that and it's been successful for 2 years. And we were nervous when we started chickens 6 years ago. So maybe we just need to try pigs. Just try it. My kids don't really want to show them. My oldest has done round robin. He's done round robin every year, and pigs are his least favorite because they always get poop on his pants. But he's done it, so I don't know. My youngest, he's not old enough to show in 4-H yet. He wants to show a pig when he's old enough. So we'll see if he still wants to when it comes to that time. So you said, I wish I had a homestead small holding as I was only allowed 6 chickens on my allotment at the moment. Yeah. See, and where we live, we cannot have pigs or goats in our property, but we are super, super blessed with the 4-H program here has a 4-H barn. And as long as the kids are enrolled in 4-H, they can have their animals at the 4-H barn for free, which has been a huge blessing because we would have never gotten into goats without that. And now that we love it, we want to buy property where we can have our goats on our own property and build our herd for how we'd like it. But in our town, you can have chickens. There isn't a limit. And you can have a rooster as long as no one complains about it. And that's the big problem is right now we have roosters and we're constantly worried someone will complain. And that's the other reason I want to move is I want the freedom of if I want a rooster, I can have a rooster. Oh, you just got in here, Lacey Homestead. Okay, I was worried that I missed you. I was in school. You love a small farm or something. Yeah, and see, that's while we're looking for we are under contract for a home with 1.5 acres, which part of me is like, is that too small? But the other part of me is like, that's way bigger than what we're on now. But our contract though for that house is up in a week and less than a week and a half now, and we still not found a buyer. And so we're starting to feel like that's not going to work out. We're still praying that it does. We actually had 2 showings this week. And so I'm hoping someone will show up and buy my house so we can get our property. But if not, I think we'll keep our house listed and just keep looking at this point. We bought some commercial boar goats a couple years ago and plan on raising show stock for my oldest if he wants to show. Good thing. Okay. Yeah. And see, when our breeding boar doe that we have, my son bought that his second year of 4-H, and he bought her to sell as a meat goat. And then he absolutely fell in love with her. And so he wanted to keep her as a breeding doe. And at that point, we had no clue what was a show quality doe and what wasn't. And he took her to county fair and he told the judge that was his plan. And the judge was like, this goat will do amazing as a breeding show goat, and she'll produce amazing babies, which totally shocked us because he got that goat for like $115, I think, something like that, which is a steal for a breeding doe out where we live. And last year she produced the baby that my son took to county fair, and that baby won county fair. And then his sister won first place of her weight division. And so she did produce really good ones. This year, the babies that she had are a little smaller than the ones last year. So I'm a little worried they're not going to do as well, but you never know. They can gain it back. Questions. I'm currently on 1.5 acres. We do a lot too. Pastures to rotate, chicken, ducks, and other poultry, rabbits, and okay, she's dressed. I was worried she wasn't dressed. She was in the tub. Tons of garden space and fruit trees. See, and when we went and looked at that 1.5 acres, it looks huge. It looks like we could fit a ton on there. And so really, I think 1.5 acres, we'd be able to do a lot. Right now we are on 1/4 acre. And with our 1/4 acre, we have 2 large gardens, a couple fruit trees, our chickens, our ducks, and then we've had turkeys in the past. And then we have a lot of actual grass area just for our kids. So that's only 1/4 acre. So if we can do that on 1/4 acre, 1.5 acres, we'd be able to do a lot. So in the end, I just hope we can move somewhere where we can have our goats and have the roosters and not have to worry about it. You have room to raise pigs and 2 growing out and 2 coming up to grow out to size. And we also have room for a cow. See, and I am wondering with that 1.5 acres, if we'd have enough room. I really want a mini cow, which I know I don't need a mini cow, but I really want a mini cow. And with 1.5 acres, I think you could do it from what I've been doing a lot of research on it, but it would be definitely, if we got the property, we would not get a mini cow for a year or 2, just to let us get in, get our goats comfortable, figure out what we're doing, and move from there. But again, we have to find a buyer for our house. So who knows if that'll ever happen. But okay, so you're considering Dexter's, and those, I know those are a little bit smaller. Yeah. And see, and we really want to raise pigs eventually because we like pork. And so that's those are things we're definitely looking into. See, it says we got 10 people watching. Who else is in here? If you haven't said hi, say hi. I want to know who's hanging out with us. So what other things? So I talked about doing the mineral makeup video. That's one we're going to be doing. Pigs are so much fun. Another video I'm going to be doing pretty soon. I actually have it all recorded, but since I was sick, I haven't done the voiceover talking of it. Is I'm going to be doing a video about our cast iron cooking. About 2 years ago, we switched. We pulled out most of our, we pulled out all our nonstick pans. We do have 2 pots that are stainless steel, but we do most of our cooking in our cast iron. So I'm going to have a video about cooking in the cast iron and how we clean our cast iron, which is funny. I always feel like whenever I'm going to make a video and I have this great idea for a video, like everybody else makes videos about the same thing at the same time. I'm like, how are we all on the same wavelength? Like, it's crazy. Lazy homestead with 40 acres, but you only use about 4 or 5 of them. The rest is hunting and cattle. Okay. See, and that's what I would love. I would love like 7 to 10 acres and have some of it be forest because, and I think part of that is like the little girl in me because my grandmother had, I think 5 acres and they used maybe 1.5 acres, 2 acres of it. And then the rest was all forest. And I loved that as a kid. I thought it was so beautiful. And it's definitely something that I would love to have, but where the town we're currently in, that's just not an option. There's nothing like that out here. I mean, there's nothing like maybe you could have a sagebrush forest, but that's about all you would get. So we'd have to move to a different town if I wanted a property like that. So you currently have, okay, I read that question. Oh, and horses. You have several horses. My kids will love horses. They keep telling me they want horses, and I don't know anything about horses, so it kind of freaks me out. I've ridden horses, and as a kid, I loved horses, but as an adult, I don't know. I feel like goats and chickens have enough care, but a horse is so big that I'm like, oh, how much more care do I need to do to take care of a horse? You love trees. We love trees. And I would love like a little creek or a little stream. We did look at a property that I was so tempted to buy, but it's a town over and it's out of our county. And it had 7 acres. And it wasn't like a forest. I think it was like little willow trees. So it was foresty as you can get in Wyoming, kind of. But it had a creek running across the very back of the property at the end of the 7 acres. And so we looked at that. The house, though, was way too small for us. And we currently have 4 foster kiddos. And at the point of their case, we cannot move out of county or else they would have to move to a different home. But we don't want to disrupt their placement right now. So that's just not an option right now. And that's part of with us moving. If we don't get this house we're under contract for, we may hold off moving just until their case is done, just so that we have more freedom of where we can go. But the hard thing with foster care is you never know when a case is going to be done. So it could be years from now.
Mommy,
Yes.
what's that?
Oh, did you get a treat? Who's that? It's all gone. Was a horse trainer before I had kids. They really aren't bad. Okay.
Mom, I need more trees.
Okay, so we pushed out a pond and we have Seasonal Creek.
No.
What? I don't have any treats. Go, please.
I need trees.
That's pretty cool being a horse trainer.
No.
I don't have any treats.
No.
Go find Sam.
No, I want you, Mom.
Well, it's been over an hour and
Mom.
she wants Mom. So we may cut it off here. Thank you guys all for joining us. Can you say bye?
No.
So we can go? Can you blow Mom a kiss? Oh, there we go. So thank you guys all for joining us. We're going to cut off the live stream here because my kids are ready to have Mom back. But thank you guys again for joining us and for checking out the video. And for those who gave us thumbs up, thank you so much because that helps us. So we will see you all later. I look forward to your guys' videos. I love watching lives and videos that you guys all put out. Many of you guys, I recognize your names because I watch your videos. Okay, you guys all have a great day. Bye. Say bye one more time.
Bye.